The Survivor specialist Phil, Will, and Blake are back with another Survivor 50 episode. Blake did it to himself and did it to all of you. He came up with the idea in like the last 15 seconds of last week's podcast and said we should do this. This was actually something that Survivor Analytics had brought up to me when I had done the player ranking with him earlier. And he had kind of brought it up and said, you know, that could be something that could be interesting. And I kind of forgot. And then Blake just from the rafters, we thought it was going to be our last Survivor 50 pregame coverage until 49 was at least over. And Blake said, what if we did this? And therefore, you get to hear our voices one more time regarding Survivor 50, even though we're technically in the AU versus the World Premiere Week. We're talking about the legacies of these players and what it'll mean if they do well or poorly, or Blake's already covering his eyes. And
we're not watching Australia, are we? It's not happening. Who's in Australia Premiere Week? The like 15 people that are watching it. How many specialists are watching it? Click in the chat.
Can I just say this?
I'm excited for it.
It's essentially finale week too, because they announced today that it's 10 episodes in 3 weeks. So it is over in the first week of September. Like what? Let's rush through the most exciting season of Survivor the world has known and just get done with that. So funny. I couldn't believe it.
And
I don't know what we're going to do.
I thought we hate them because they got rid of Jonathan LaPagia or whatever, however you say his name. Is there no solidarity of we're not even going to watch his swan song because those haters got rid of him and put the Golden God in as the new host?
Do you think that the JLP lovers are stronger than the Siri, Tony, and Parv lovers? Blake, you are out of your mind. You are out of your mind. But anyway, speaking of Siri, she's on here. This whole episode, I feel like I don't know exactly how we want to do this because we didn't really discuss it. Blake said, what if we did legacies and kind of like pointed and was smiling and was happy? I was thinking maybe we do this as like a pre-merge, win, deep run. Like how are we deciding what Blake's already shaking his head.
I can do it if you want me to. So the thought process is what makes sense to me is this person coming on Survivor 50. Does it have any chance of bettering their legacy? Is it only bad news, or is it somewhere in between? Because somebody like Aussie has to win, or his legacy is worse because he's gotten a second place, he's gotten a fourth place, and then the other two are some other numbers. And it's like the only way he can make his legacy better. Like there's a lot of stuff that Aussie can do to be negative of like, he got in another fight with a beloved person and he's a crotchety old man instead of just a young crotchety old man or a crotchety young man. And it's like, okay, that legacy is not going to help him out. No, this isn't going to be people's favorite season of Aussie unless this happens. Which
I would just like hop in and disagree immediately on like
that's what you do. So that makes a lot of sense.
If a player doesn't place as their best placement, it's not immediately negative. I would just push back on that. Like Aussie doesn't need to win to like improve his legacy. I actually think coming off Game Changers and like that kind of early exit for him, and he was kind of he just wasn't very present. Like if he has a presence on the season, even if he goes home earlier, even if he's a pre-merger, I think it depends what your character level is or what your role on the show is. Ozzy is not someone we go to for strategic prowess. We go for him for challenges. We go for him for catching fish. We go for him for being Jungle Boy and Tarzan. If he has some Jungle Boy Tarzan moments in 50 with some of these iconic cast members and doesn't win, but actually like is a fun character to watch, then I think Aussie's legacy can improve, even if he doesn't place as highly. And I think that's true for a lot of players. So I think the best way to do it would be we just go through the
okay. Then I think we need to rename the podcast because
why
it doesn't make it look as it's. Are they going to better their character?
All right, so let's just end the podcast. Everyone go on Wikipedia, look up where their placements are, and then if they have to place better than their best
every season matters.
That's the podcast. Genevieve can only improve her legacy if she gets fourth place. Camila can only improve her legacy if she makes final three. I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we just going to go through and compare like single digit numbers to each other?
Well, some of them are double digit numbers. Coach finished 12th on a season. Colby finished 12th on a season.
Right, so but Coach has gotten to the Coach has been.
But I don't want to eliminate the double digit numbers from this discussion, Will, because an 11th place finish.
No one here on this cast has a best placement that's a double digit number. And according to Blake's logic, they have to improve on their best placement.
Well,
which I
so
completely
here's what I
disagree
was
with.
going to say before the two of you started. Like, I want a podcast in the same
You
room
didn't
with the
say
two of you.
anything, Phil. You're the one who comes. You're the glue guy.
Yeah,
You're
well,
the one
it's
who
fun to watch the
sets
two
the
of you just
parameters.
bicker. It's like, man, like my grandparents used to do this, and then my grandpa died, so I don't get to watch this anymore.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
great. So, what I was going to say is, I think like when we watched Heroes versus Villains, we talked about this. Somebody like Tom Westman, I really feel actually improved his legacy despite being a winner who then comes and finishes 16th place. His legacy improved because he adapted to the new version of Survivor. He successfully played an idol to boot, one of the best players of all time. He was a winner who survived multiple tribal councils. He had to navigate a lot of BS. He didn't have all of the relationships that other people on his tribe had coming into the season. He was aligned right off the bat with the least popular person on that tribe, which was Stephanie, other than Sugar, obviously. But like, I feel like Tom is somebody who improved his legacy despite a worse placement. And I think that is something that we see throughout Survivor history. Like, there are players that I talk about this. Sierra Dawn Thomas is probably my favorite example of this. Her game in Worlds Apart is awful. It is so boring. She comes out and plays Game Changers, finishes so much worse, and is so much more impactful on that season, plays so much more importantly in that season, makes good strategic moves, ultimately, doesn't win the game. But I was sitting there, I remember when Game Changers cast was announced, I was going, why the hell is Sierra Dawn Thomas on my screen? And then she comes out and she's integral to that game, and she plays a really, really strong, aggressive game, which was different. And I think that the second version of Sierra is much better than the first version of Sierra. So I don't think necessarily.
So you have to rename the podcast, Blake, we have to rename the.
But here's what I will say.
I
do think that there are some players whose legacies only improve if they do win, and so that's where, like, what I want to be talking about is what is kind of the range of these legacies. Like, if Siri goes pre-merge, is anybody sitting here going, well, Ceri's legacy's tarnished? No, like, she has 2 pre-merge finishes, but she's played so strongly in other games, I don't think it matters. But Siri making it to Final 5 or Final 6 again probably improves her legacy, even though she doesn't get the desired win and doesn't reach the placement of her first 2 games. So I think that there's a range for some of these people. I think some people have a lot more pressure on them coming into this season than others. And I think there's some who can elevate themselves maybe to in that conversation for like all-time greats, or at least in terms of like people that we'd want to see play a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th time, like some of these other players have. I think there's other players who, was the win of Dee a fluke? Was the win of Kyle a fluke? Like, those are conversations that are always had when winners come back and play a second time. So legacies, I think it's a wide range. But if we want to start, I'll just say that Kyle and Dee cannot improve their legacy because they can't finish better than first. So even if they win a second time, the best placement they can get is first place. So their legacy can't improve because they already hit that spot. Am I right, Blake?
All right. Now that you're done talking, I would say Tom Westman in Heroes versus Villains tarnished his legacy a bit because he went from being one of the most dominant winners of all time to getting voted out before pre-merge. Or getting voted out pre-merge, where he didn't make merge the second time. So he's not a crazy person. You put him on any season, he will do the same. We saw a season where he didn't do the same and goes out early. So Tom is not as bulletproof as some of these other people. Same thing with JT, of like, he came back a second time. If he doesn't like get Final 5, if he gets owned at 10. Like, there are some legacies that are immediately tarnished on their second time, even when they had perfect records the whole time. Like, I think that's why Cochran stayed away. He's like, there's nothing I can do to better my legacy. Who cares? It's a fun trip. It's a fun excursion. I'll just pretend I went on it. And my perfect season won't be in question whenever I go back a second time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to discuss. I mean, I get like the tarnished legacies, and it's kind of like in the grand Survivor community, right? Most people feel what JT did in Heroes Villains is so stupid. And I feel like my job as a podcaster is to be like, it's really not that bad of a move. Like, let's chill. Like, the logic is there, and they hadn't watched Russell play. So I feel like it's kind of like, yeah, some people's legacies get tarnished the second time they play, but I don't think people are saying, oh man, Richard Hatch is, he's still the first, but like people still talk about Hatch. Like he's the one who invented the game. He was pre-merge his second time. Like Ethan was pre-merge his second time and his third time. Like Tina was pre-merge her second time and she almost wins another season. So I think that there's a lot of nuance that goes into this. So I guess it just comes down to where do we want to start? I guess we can start with Ryan Chan. This will at least get Blake up. A super chat. Angelina needs to steal at least 3 jackets and carry a 200-foot ladder in order to improve her legacy. Like, I know, I get that that's a joke there, but this is like seriously where I ask, like, what does Angelina need to do to improve her legacy? Because hers doesn't feel like it's placement oriented at all.
I think hers would be like going from a loyal soldier in an alliance to, hey, I watched a couple seasons afterwards. I saw what I did wrong. I talked to other influential people in the community. This is what it takes to be on top of an alliance. I'm not the last person into an alliance. I'm not the one. People are coming to me and actually valuing my opinion instead of I'm just a loyal soldier that's dragged along and has no shot at winning when it's final tribal council time.
Well, what do you think about Angelina?
I think to improve her legacy, we have to see some more social gameplay from her, and where like, almost like an Andy arc from 47, where like by the end of it, she gets voted out for being a jury threat. Like that to me is like the biggest improvement on Angelina as a survivor player. Now, from a character standpoint, like I think there is a risk here on Angelina tarnishing her legacy and not really having anything to do with placement. But like if she comes out and like is playing, hey, like I want to win 50, I want to play strategically, I want to play more socially, I want to win this game. If that comes at a cost of her being herself or her being the Angelina that we all fell in love with on David vs. Goliath, and she's like Angelina the game bot, and maybe she makes some blindsides, but she's just not as fun to watch, I think you could see her legacy be like, man, I miss the old Angelina. There's also a world where you're like, I hope we get 2 different versions of Angelina, and like that's okay, and that like we can treat them separately. And I think, Phil, when you're saying like there's a lot of context and nuance in this, that's what I was immediately getting at when we started, talking about placement right away. I really don't think placement is that large of a contributing factor. For like it contributes a little bit, maybe in like a tier, like how far did you get, what portion of the game did you get, but I think it's more about like how present you are on the season. I mean, we've talked about Aubrey, how like, yeah, she gets like 6th place in Game Changers, but is like barely on the season. Like, what did she even do? Did that improve her legacy? No. I mean, obviously she didn't place as high, but like that really tarnished it a bit. So for Angelina, I think we want to see, if we want to improve her as a survivor player and make her like a legitimate threat, it's like get voted out because you can win the game. That would be awesome to see.
And I think Angelina kind of falls into the Jerry. Like that's her ceiling, right? Her ceiling is Jerry, where Jerry, the first time she played, was kind of viewed as just a joke really by the rest of the cast. Let's get her out because she's annoying rather than drag her to the end. And then the second time she played, kind of the same thing. She's coming out to be the Black Widow. That's it. And then she comes out and plays Heroes Villains, and a lot of people in the community feel that she could have potentially won if she made it to Final 3 against the rest of the group that was in the Final 4. She becomes somebody who's rootable. She's not necessarily a villain. Is it the best character of Jerry? Absolutely not. But it was something where people said, look at the arc that Jerry had. This is actually pretty fun. This is exciting. This is different. This is like what we want. And I think that's why I just wanted to, it was good that Ryan Chan put that comment up, because I'm not necessarily going to go one by one like this. Like there's going to be like, I feel like you're going to get into some people at the same time. But with Angelina, I just think she's such a prime example of she's here to be a character. Q is here to be a character. Like those two people have to deliver the entertainment to maintain their legacy, and their placement I don't think matters as much. Like Q could come out and blow up episode 1, but if he has an episode 1 that is equivalent to what Tony does in Game Changers, where people are like, well, maybe Tony's not that good. Tony was building spy bunkers in those first 2 episodes. Like he still managed to get stuff done that was entertaining and that was memorable for the game, even if ultimately it's like, well, it's not Kagi on Tony. It's like, well, our expectations weren't that high for his placement anyway. So, I want to talk about that, but I have a question that I want to ask both of you, and I don't know if I have an answer for this, But what I want to ask you both is, which person do you think can improve their legacy the most on this season? And which person do you think actually has the most to lose from a legacy perspective on this season?
Who can improve their legacy the most? That's a good question. I kind of want to talk through it. Maybe we'll hit on it. We can answer that at the end, because I think we're going to go player by player, right?
I mean, yeah, we'll go player by player in some sense, but not.
Well, I don't
feel like we go like alphabetical order. I'm just more saying like, but there's nobody
You're
who
a specialist. You have to know.
There's
How
nobody
do you
who
not
comes to
know?
mind. It doesn't have to be your final answer. We can get done talking about this. It can just be, here's a name that I'm thinking right now, but maybe when we talk through it, it's a totally different story. Like, is there any name that comes to mind?
Maybe Joe, just because I got him so low.
Meanwhile,
He
we're
wins.
we're all over here like Joe's.
At least in
Joe's
like my mind.
Blake, do you have anybody?
I think somebody who has a lot to lose is Christian Hubicki. Like, he is somebody that everyone seems is super smart. He was taken out for being a huge threat. He could have won immunity and maybe saved that, but that's not his game. And I think whenever he's coming in, if he gets anywhere outmaneuvered in the first couple rounds of the game, whether it's all double elimination for the first week, it will be like, holy crap, Christian's not as cool as I thought he was. I thought he was somebody that would thrive in an all-star environment when everybody's playing super hardcore. He's super trustworthy. He's super whatever. Who is going to get his goose? And I think if somebody can see Christian Hubicki and see him as an adversary and take him out, I think that's a legacy builder type move for someone else. So I think he's got a target on his back, but we're hoping Christian Hubicki can get out of it. But that's somebody that if he goes home in 20-something place, I think that sucks, because for the last 6 or 7 years I can't wait to see Christian play again. And that would be a huge blow to his legacy.
I almost feel like Christian might be the answer to both of these, because a Christian win would be like, holy crap, how did he pull that off? So his legacy would just skyrocket. But if he goes out really early, then his legacy, I do think, takes a hit. But, again, we'll dive into it. I feel like he might be the one who has the most to gain and the most to lose out of everybody on the cast.
It's hard for these players that have only played once, and obviously they're coming back for 50. Like, they did something right. Most of them went very far, or like were a very successful Survivor player. And like coming off a one-time performance, then you're coming out again when people have seen your game and they haven't seen anything else. They've only seen success from you. Like we've just seen so many examples of people falling on their face after that. Whether it's Tony in Game Changers or like Tina in All Stars. Like it's kind of like you don't blame them. And I think we talked about this, Phil, on one of our Everything You Need to Know About episodes. I think it was Genevieve, when you asked me, like, if Genevieve kind of like flames out here and goes, let's say 20th place out of 24 people, as Blake just said, does that tarnish her legacy? And I was kind of like, I don't think so, because like she's coming in with such a massive target, and there's a lot of people that aren't coming in with massive targets on this season. I think if you aren't one of these threatening players, I think you have almost more to lose. Christian has played once, mega threat, super social, super likable, super good at chat. Like he's a threat in this game, and people have just seen that. They've only seen it one time. Like, if they get him out early, I don't think I'm looking at Christian that differently. Now, if he were to do that like on like another season and another season, he's like a 4-time player and he just can't figure it out, then like, yeah, all right, maybe he's not all that he was cracked up to be. But I don't know. I think there's enough people on this cast that aren't coming in with that high of threat levels, where it's like the ones that are threatening, I'm not going to blame them. It's like you already mentioned Dee and Kyle. It's like if Dee and Kyle get voted out early for being winners when there's only 2 winners on the season, like I am not holding that against them at all. Like at all.
Yeah.
I think we're getting into an impasse here where it's like, is there a thought process of there's 24 people on this season? It's not going to be 12 people have their thing ruined and 12 people have their thing go whatever.
No.
Is there a way you can be on this season where all 24, their legacies go up a little bit? It's the best season ever. Of everyone that is eliminated, we go like, you're such a big threat, Genevieve. We got you out at 24th because we know if we let you get to 22nd, you're going to find every idol. And we took the idol away from you 4 seconds before you got there. It's Johnny Fairplay and Yao Man all over again. We snatch it right from you and we go, we got to get Genevieve out. Like, I think it is. We got to crack some eggs of like some of these people. There's not going to be 24 legacies go up here, and so it's like
No, I'm ready to crack
what-
eggs. I just disagree
what
on
legacy,
some of like
what is a legacy that you could see, not a person, but like what is tarnishing about a return, if even if it's only your second time and you did really well the first time.
So when I was thinking about this before we went live, well, here's I think I kind of have an answer to that. When I was thinking about this before I went live, Siri can't tarnish her legacy. Like I talked about that kind of already. Like I don't think that she can tarnish her legacy. Her legacy is what her legacy is. Even if she finishes super poorly on this season, like she's still going to be considered one of, if not the best to never win, because that's just where Siri is at now. Her 5th time does not really matter all that much to that legacy. I think somebody like Colby going out super early, it could make his legacy even worse, because right now people aren't high on him from Heroes Villains. And if he hadn't played Heroes Villains, people would probably be so pumped to watch Colby. Jenna Lewis, it doesn't really feel like it matters to me. But then when you do get to some of these new players, like Will was saying with D and Kyle don't really have question marks next to their wins. So I don't really think that their legacies can be tarnished either, right? Like it's not like Michelle coming out to play Winners at War where people are like, well, she didn't deserve to win. And then she goes on and goes all the way to the end. It's like Kyle and D are both considered very, very deserving winners. So if they get voted out early, it's because they're seen as threats. So how much can that hurt them? But somebody like Aussie, Stephanie LaGrossa, like I think those are people whose legacies, if they perform poorly on this season, they're done, because they haven't, their most recent versions aren't very good versions. And so if they come out and perform poorly again, it's like, okay, well, like we never need to see them again. And so I do think that there is quite a wide range here.
Yeah, and I've been like, when thinking about this, it's really the players that stood out to me are the multi-time players from the old school have like the most to lose on this. Like you mentioned Colby, you just mentioned Aussie, Stephanie. I think Aubrey fits in here. Aubrey fits in here perfectly. Coach fits in there also, where it's like they've played so many times and we've seen like a spectrum out of their performances. But like looking at someone like Aubrey, just superstar right out the gate. Like everyone's clamoring she should have won. She gets second place. She's come back twice now, and each performance has gotten worse. If she comes back again and it's worse, we're really looking at Aubrey as I mentioned this in the Everything You Know, she's kind of a one-hit wonder. She's like had a great game, and like we keep trying to capture that magic. And if she performs poorly on 50, I think we even had a comment here that was tossing on Aubrey, and Aubrey was one of the first people I thought of for this. Where is it? Yeah, Ryan Chan. I would say Aubrey has a lot to lose. I know she's probably feeling a lot of pressure after doing poorly on Edge of Extinction. I think that to me is like her legacy is completely on the line. And you look at Korong as the outlier there and not like, oh, well, she was just a threat every time after. It's like, no, we've seen enough failures after her one good performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I break an egg for you, Blake?
Oh yeah, Aubrey's a huge. I'm so glad you went to Aubrey. That's a hard one to get to.
All right. So let's go through some of these players. So we already kind of talked about Angelina. Angelina's doesn't really feel like it's placement oriented, right? Angelina just can't come out, be on the show for 2 episodes and be non-existent. She can't be a 0 confessional giver. Like Angelina needs to be averaging 6 or 7 confessionals for however many episodes she's in. She's got to be taken over the screen. That's what Angelina is here to do. Yes, maybe we get the version of Angelina that can win. I actually think that's a less entertaining version. But Aubrey, yes, she had a really bad performance in Edge of Extinction. Will and I put out the Everything You Need to Know about Aubrey, I think like last week. Yeah, last Monday. And when we put that episode out, it is kind of the understanding of Aubrey was really screwed from the word go on that comma tribe because they were never going to vote Joe out. They win the first bunch of immunities, like really weird start for her. So Aubrey is somebody who I think could also really improve. That's like the thing, like these people who can really harm their legacies, I also feel like they can improve. Like if Aubrey comes out and finishes even 4th or 5th place, or finishes 8th or 9th, finishes worse than Game Changers, but plays a really, really aggressive, strong game, maybe gets idled out, something just goes wrong, that would probably get people more pumped saying, oh, there's the co-wrong Aubrey. She's only 36 or 37. Like she's not that old. Let's get her on another season again. Like I'm ready to watch this new version of Aubrey play another time because of what we saw here. So Aubrey, I feel like is she, for me, she falls into the Christian category of a lot to gain and a lot to lose. I find it highly doubtful that we come out of this season feeling no different about Aubrey. She would have to come out and play 6th or 7th place and do absolutely nothing for us to say, I really still don't know what I'm getting from Aubrey. And even then, if she does that, that's probably tarnishing her legacy more than keeping it neutral. So I just feel like with Aubrey, there's going to be a big swing with her, in my opinion. Cool. All right. Kevin Hernandez, what season's legacy is the most at risk if players do poorly on 50? I mean, I think there's one obvious answer to this.
I mean,
is it
there
David
a
versus
legacy
Goliath?
of season 48?
It's David versus Goliath. Like, nobody likes 48 anyway. So if those players do poorly, I don't feel like people are going to be like, whoa. But David versus Goliath is like so loved. If this is the first time we're seeing anybody from David versus Goliath play again, other than Nick, and Nick's game in Winners at War is not very good. So
yeah, but like, is it so revered as a standalone season that like it can't be tarnished because it will always exist? You don't have to watch 50 to appreciate 37.
I just wonder,
but that is the only. I feel like that is kind of the only option, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, or people think like, wow, 37 had such good gameplay. Then you watch the players play again and you said, maybe the gameplay wasn't that good. Maybe the players weren't that good. Although, like, putting Angelina on, she's not here from a player standpoint. Mike White was always so behind the scenes anyway. Like, Christian really feels like he's carrying the torch big time anyway. But like, I don't know what's the deal today, man. I feel like I can't talk.
No. It's the three of them. They don't have a shot at winning this. So it's like, I get, that's going to make me like 37 worse because Mike White is famous now and people are going to vote him out at 22nd place. It's like, no, he still did really well on the season where it was like half of us are famous people. Half of us have wrestled in the WWE or have written a movie before. And everyone was like, oh, I love that. I've also done some crazy stuff in my life. We're not threatened by each other because we're all a bunch of Goliaths. And then the Davids are like, we like you guys too. And we're smart. We're Christian. And our name is Christian. So sure. I think Christian is the one where we mentioned him already of like, I'm hoping he brings the torch because I don't expect Angelina and Mike White to make their legacy better. I'm expecting them to get cut off pretty early in this.
Mm-hmm. How does Mike White improve his Survivor legacy? Since we're on the subject of David versus Goliath, we've already talked about Angelina. We've talked about Christian. He finished second already, right? Like Will and I, we put out the Mike White episode yesterday. That dropped yesterday. Everything you need to know about. We did the defining episode last week. So we're like, I'm in Mike White mode. And we talked about like, does Mike White is he coming on the 50 to win? Is that his goal when he is stepping onto the beach for Survivor 50? Can he improve his Survivor legacy? Or is he somebody who is just like strictly here because of who he is? And if he goes out early, goes out early. If he goes deep, but nobody's really going to change their opinion of Mike as a Survivor player.
I think it's almost similar to Angelina where like, I think he improves if he gets voted out for being like a threat somehow. We talked about a lot on everything need to know about Mike episode that like, yes, he was playing a very good game and we appreciate Mike's game, but he only had one vote cast against him. And that wasn't until the final 5 vote. And that like, is that because he was playing such a dominant game or because people just weren't threatened by him? Did people just say, hey, he's never going to win. He doesn't need the money. He's never going to get the votes. If Mike can reach a place where he is making so many moves and putting together such a good resume and being so social and likable as he does, where you have players on the island say, we got to watch out for Mike White. He might win this thing. I think that improves his overall legacy. I think, and we also talked about like, what would be the worst for his legacy? It's almost like if he gets to final tribal council again and just says, don't vote for me. Cause then it's like, man, you did the same trick twice. And now we're seeing that's the only reason why you're getting to final tribal council is because you're a goat and that you're not asking for jury votes to win and everyone wants to sit next to you because they know they can beat you. Like that would really tarnish his legacy.
Yeah. Then it would feel like way too much of a stunt cast. Right. Like then it would feel like if that's what he is, people are going to go, why did we get Mike White on this season instead of Davey? Like if we had to pick from David versus Goliath, like there were other options maybe that would have been more willing to go out there and like play this game so hard because winning really would matter to them in a huge way. Like I know that would matter to Davey. So Yeah, I feel like him getting to the end as just kind of dragged and then not putting up a fight at Final Tribal would be the worst case scenario for him.
Because then it like takes away from his first appearance too. You're like, wait a second, he did like it must be pretty easy if he just did that again. Like,
yeah,
it's less special that he even got the Final Tribal Council, and you have Christian giving him the Dre vote, saying he played a transcendent game, and like still many people say he should have won that season. So like that could really hurt him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Blake, what do you think about Mike White?
I mean, I think it's more simple. Like, he's not going to get to Final Tribal one way or the other. So I think it'll be like what he's hoping to do is like, I'm a puzzle leader, and in the first couple challenges, I got the puzzle better than everyone else, and everyone was looking to me, and I won it. And like everyone can go like, Mike, you're on our team and we're proud of you. We're not dragging you like some other of these people that are on this season. Like Mike White was a force to be reckoned with. He still can play. Like, I think that's what he cares about more than am I going to make it to the end or not. And I don't know if there's going to be an individual component to every immunity challenge so we can get some of our favorites safe on whatchamacallit, or is Mike White going to go dig for an idol to have an idol moment. I think he's going to skip out on that part, but I think he is going to care a lot about, I pulled my weight in challenges and we were a team that was the most dominant. I think that's something he would care about, and he's on that tribe that can do that.
Yeah, that is the better tribe. I also feel like his social game is probably where he's reliant. I want to see Mike make a big move though, because in David vs. Goliath, he made moves that definitely moved him further in the game and were better for his game, but could also be viewed as emotional and maybe why he doesn't win. Like, oh, I just don't like Natalie. I want Natalie out of the game. Oh, like Carl's driving me crazy. I want Carl out of the game. Like those kinds of things happen, and that could ultimately be also what hurts him. So I'd like to see, I want Mike to be the guy where he's sitting on the jury bench and I'm going, man, every time he walks in, I'm like, he was fun this season. I'm glad he's there. Like, I'm glad he's sitting there, not just like, oh, Mike finished 9th because he played the exact game I expected Mike to play. And so he made it far enough, and that was it. Because that's where I'm leaning with players like Jonathan and Joe, which I think we can talk about for sure if we want to, I'm just trying to segue this stuff as much as possible.
Yeah, I think we can segue to 48, the other season with 3 players. We've kind of hit the David versus Goliath crew. So
yeah.
We bring it to the new era.
Yeah, so let me ask, I'm going to ask this to Blake since he brought up the numbers first, and I know he regrets it now. But Kyle, how does Kyle improve or lose his legacy, being that he's a winner, being that he's a threat, like being that he was a deserving winner, according to most? How do you feel about him? How can he improve his legacy? How does he tarnish his legacy?
I think we're thinking the 48 people are playing with house money of nobody really thinks their season was that hard to do well in. I think there's the thought process of maybe the worst thing that could happen is Camila goes home super early, and then it's like, oh, she was carried by some other stuff instead of being like a dominant challenge performer that we're not used to seeing, because she is maybe a not physically prowess, but mental prowess. Her whole thing is, I will not lose a puzzle. The only time we lost a puzzle is when I couldn't see the puzzle and they didn't put me on the puzzle. Mm-hmm. And that is a cool legacy. And then she wins a couple immunities, and like that's an interesting layer of her thing where now you're up against the best of the best. Can you back that up when you're against Jonathan Young and when you're against Aussie and when you're against some other people? Or now puzzle wise, you're up against Christian instead of like charity. Like I don't know, you're like maybe I'm not as strong there, but like I think for Kyle, he is, whether he's one of the two winners, hopefully there's only 2, it's one of those things where it's like, we don't care that Ethan lost All Stars, we care that Ethan lost Winners at War. There's a couple people like that on All Stars the first time around, and I think like you guys said, Tom's fine if he didn't ruin his legacy. So I think we're going to do the same thing. No matter what Kyle gets, it'll be kind of like, oh, well, what did you expect? So Joe, I think, is the one who actually has all of the weight on his shoulders of, you were a dominant challenge person, even at 46 years old last year. Can you do it again? Can you do it against this crew? You are basically Colby. If you had been on Survivor Australia 20 years ago, you would have been Colby. And now you're facing Colby when he's 46 or 47 as well, whatever age they are. Can you go toe-to-toe with these people? Can you be in the pantheon of Survivor greats? Or was it just you're the best 48 had to have or had or whatever? So I think Joe is the one I'm actually paying attention to. And now you don't have the story with Eva and the like unbreakable alliance that nobody cares to break because we're going to beat both of them at the final tribal anyway.
Yeah. So, Will, when it comes to Joe, because I know you've been the hardest on Joe, so that's, Blake ends with Joe here. How does Joe improve his legacy? How does he tarnish his legacy, in your opinion? Because I know you've been the hardest on him, so I know that this isn't going to be how most people feel, but I'm just curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hard on Joe for we just saw him make it all the way to the end. Like, do we need to see him back immediately? And I think Joe, the show propped him up where it's like, we all thought Joe is cruising to a victory and no one was taking the shot at him. Or why isn't anyone making a move against Joe? Blake's sitting here saying he has a 96% chance to win the damn season. And it was we were all bamboozled, or at least some of us were, that he gets there and he's a GOAT. He's not what we thought he was. So then to bring that guy back, the guy that had to be propped up, you're does he even deserve a spot in this season? So that's at least explain why I'm hard on him being on season 50. I don't think he's earned his place. But we've said it a bunch, what does Joe look like without Eva? And there were hints of him really wanting to have that killer instinct and really blindside somebody and be ruthless. But he was not able to get in that headspace or pull that off when he had that relationship with Eva. So is he able to really play a different style of game where he's not just in this majority cruising to the end as someone who really isn't going to win? So if he just plays harder and makes any sort of move, he really doesn't make any sort of move. The David move isn't really even his move. It's more Cheyenne's move. It's more Kyle and Camila's move. So I don't know. I think he has a lot to gain. I don't know how he tarnishes his legacy. I mean, even if he goes out early, again, it depends how you view him going into the season. I don't view him as a strong Survivor player at this point before having seen season 50. So for me, there's not a whole lot Joe can do to get worse in my book. Even if he goes out pre-merge because he made a big move, I honestly think that could help his legacy. If he goes out because he already has made a move and he goes out 16th place or something, then I'm you know what, Joe, at least you gave it a shot this time. At least you put up a fight to win. So yeah, Phil, you can respond to that. I have thoughts on Camila too, because I do think
here's my thing with Joe. Joe's legacy gets tarnished if he comes out like James in Heroes Villains and he's just a total ass. And James in Heroes Villains, I actually don't feel like it tarnishes his legacy. I always say James in Heroes Villains is so entertaining. But James is also a single guy who was always a little villainous on his other seasons anyway. It's not like he was this ultimate hero. He's laughing in people's faces all the time, whatever. But Joe is the guy who was there for Eva the whole time. He's got his kids. He's got his family. He's playing for his sister. If Joe comes out and all of a sudden we see not just a game level cutthroat, but slamming the beanbag thing down in someone's face like James did, that's where Joe tarnishes his legacy. And I really believe that because I think from a gameplay standpoint, Joe can only go up. He really can. I think that Joe, because he was a 0 vote finalist, who a lot of people were frustrated, wasn't getting voted out of the game, wasn't doing anything. 1 vote finalist. You're right. Sorry. Cedric.
I had to defend him. I'm going to defend him when I can.
You're right. You're right. Because he was the 1 vote finalist, because he finished 3rd place, he couldn't really make his argument at the end. I think a lot of people are what's going on here? I think for Joe, if he comes out and he plays kind of the loyal soldier game again, but then he cuts somebody when he needs to, or he's willing to make the move, or maybe he's on the wrong side and he adapts properly, even if he gets 9th, 10th, 11th, 17th, like you're saying, Will, place, this is somebody who can improve their legacy by just playing a different game. If he plays a different game And it's one that feels like, okay, this guy came out here to win this time. I'm not saying he wasn't trying to win in 48, but I think things got so thrown off with Eva that he didn't really know where to go from there. And now you have to adapt to something that you weren't expecting. If he comes out and plays a totally different game on 48, I think he absolutely does. And I think if Joe ends up winning 48, now I've said that I think Joe can win 48. I think he's a likable guy. I think he's somebody who can absolutely get to the end and get votes. I think it was circumstantial for 48 that he didn't get votes. If he gets to the end and ends up winning, this guy's going to hit a really high level legacy wise. I'm not going to say something ridiculous, but he's going to be one of those people who is really revered. He's probably then the face of the new era because he's a winner and he's the person who got the episode to play again on a Saturday night. Like, I think that Joe would probably become the face of the new era, even though his first game was a air quotes GOAT finalist performance. So I think Joe can really only go up, and that's it.
Air quotes.
Because I don't think he was as much. I think him and Eva also like splitting votes there. Like that doesn't help either. Like Eva got 2.
Why was everyone's plan who had a social or strategic brain with Kyle, Camila, Shaheen being like, I just want to sit next to Joe and Eva because I know I win. It's literally what all of them said. That's
I'm still curious what that Shaheen one looks like. So
I'm just saying, I don't know what these air quotes are.
I don't know. I like doing air quotes. That's what it's all about. I don't think Kyle can really ruin his legacy. Somebody had put in here, he would have to make like a stupid blunder like JT. I think even with that, like maybe that would be, whoa, how did he do that in the moment? But ultimately, like, I don't feel like Kyle can really hurt his legacy. He's the most fresh winner they're seeing. So how can that
even in the world of stupid blunders on an all returning player season? And maybe it's, a debate of how stupid it is or how silly it is, but I feel like Adam is like a good comparison here. I think Adam actually improved his legacy in Winters at War somehow, even though he goes out and like this hilarious thing, like trying to pick off a piece of the set at tribal council. I think he like gained respect from a lot of people and like how hard he was playing. I think Kyle could have a similar trajectory where it's like, man, at least Kyle's out here playing hard and trying to win again. And so what? He goes home 12th place. Like it's not going to hurt him.
Yeah, I agree. Even if Kyle could go home and he could be like Tom, where he goes home in 20th place, but he does one big thing before that. And you're like, all right, like he earned his stripes. You're out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you said you had something to say about Camila. So
yeah, I actually think Camila has quite a bit to lose here. I think she's only on this season due to recency bias because Survivor always loves to do that. They like to pick the most recent season and load up players onto their all returning player seasons. Like if Camila is in the first like 4 seasons of the new era, she's not coming back. Even if she's in 45, 46, 47, I don't think she's coming back. I mean, the fact we only have one player from 47 is kind of insane when it's usually held as like the number one or, one of the top 2 or 3 new era seasons. And I don't think 48 is well liked as Jeff thought or as production thought or like as casting thought. So like she's thrown in there. If she just kind of sputters out early merge and doesn't have a big showing, she's not that big of like a screen hog. I mean, I know we saw confessionals enough from her throughout 48, but she's never dominating episodes. She's not this larger than life personality. She didn't make it to final 3. She goes out and fire. I think she's someone who you will like look back on and be like, oh yeah, Camila was on 50. Like, why was she even there again? Like, we didn't even hear that much from her in 48. Like now, because we just saw 48, she's very top of mind. She's also very loved by like a specific sect of like the online community. She's queen. She's mother. She's like the one everyone's rooting for. But like, if you look, remember, this is called In the Hands of the Fans. The fans did not vote. I think the fans voted on who would be on this season. I don't think Camila is getting like the popular mass fan votes from like Facebook and from everybody else outside of like the really, really super fan communities. So to me, Camila, if she kind of doesn't have a big showing here, she will be kind of a forgotten Survivor player.
I think it depends on what that big showing is, right? Or that lack of big showing is. I think that if Camila goes out really early and is a non-factor, like you're saying, like doesn't do anything strategic, just gets out, like doesn't.
Or she just gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
24 people here.
Yeah. But if Camila goes out early and it's because she's trying to make moves, she's trying to make things happen, and she maybe just gets got or something like that, I don't think that hurts her legacy because she is coming into this season so fresh. And like we've seen this happen, right? Rob Cisternino was screwed coming into All-Stars because the only person who had played more recently than him was Rupert. Yao Man was screwed coming into Micronesia because everybody knew that Yao Man was the biggest strategic threat stepping onto that island when he did. And so we do see that often. And so for me, when I look at Camila, it's going to depend on the way it goes. If she makes a deep run, her legacy improves and she becomes somebody that we absolutely are talking about, bring back again for a new era All-Stars or something like that. But if she goes out early, it's how does she go out early? Is she going out in a firestorm or is she going out where, like Aubrey in Edge of Extinction, where
we just never hear from her.
Yeah, that was it. It's over. So,
and I'd also say I would not put Camila at the level of Rob Cesternino or Yao Man on their first time play.
Rob Cesternino and Yao Man were also at a much bigger portion of the time frame, like of what Survivor was. Like people cared so much more deeply. Rob literally redefined the game, and then Yao Man with the first successful idol play, everything like that. There's a lot more that's going on with those two, and their popularity was higher. I agree. Camila's
they're just like the number one players on their season, and I don't think you would argue that for Camila.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everybody said she would have won if she got there, and I think that's how people feel about Yao, and that's how people feel about
I'm talking
Rob.
in terms of like audience appreciation and like love from like what are we yearning for, and like who are your number one fan favorites. I don't know if Camila is number one fan favorite from 48.
Yeah, but I'm not really making the point of her as a player. I'm making the point of her as I'm not making the point of her as like a character. I'm making the point of her as a player. And I do think she's similar to Cesternino and Yao. That's all I'm saying. Like, I agree. Like nobody's sitting there going, oh my God, did you hear what Camila said this week? Like there was a couple times where she ran the bus over. That was fun, but it wasn't to that level by any means. That's true. But from a strategic sense, she's the one who's seen as the strategic player coming in. Now, Genevieve probably has a worse case here, but Blake, do you want to say anything about Camila before we do jump to Genevieve?
I think one thought process was her confessional about you guys should just go to the Olympics. We're here to play Survivor. This is her cast to play Survivor with. So if she doesn't swim in that, if she sinks, then it'll be like, oh, that kind of makes 48 worse because she was talking a big game of like, if I had people around me that were actually playing Survivor, I would do even better. It's like, well, you got fourth place with these people that were largely passive players in most people's opinions. And now when it's more aggressive gameplay, she does... It's kind of, she has to go better than fourth. That is a placement where it's like, I do think, Camila goes home in 8th place because she was a threat. It's one of those things where it's like, I think there's going to be some people who are like, how did she not manage her threat status? I think one other thing I want to say about Camila and maybe a couple other people is like Camila, when we're looking at the cast of 24, it's kind of not who I want my editors and my producers and my interviewers to spend a lot of time on. So I think she's got that layer of like, there's just a lot of mouths to get fed in this edit. And I think Camila's going to just falter that way anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fair point because her story coming in is not Camila to get a big edit. I feel like Camila needs to win like, or be the one who is orchestrating votes throughout most of the game. Because I do agree with that. Like there's definitely people like Siri, Stephanie, Colby. I think we did a podcast, Blake, where it was you, me, and Teg with, where I pretty much did the opening of the show. And I was like, here's going to be the first like 7 or 8 confessional givers. Camila's not in there with that unless she wins the season. So let's talk about Genevieve. Can Genevieve's reputation be tarnished?
I find it really hard to, I'm the biggest Genevieve fan, but like, I mean, she'd have to do something like objectively like super dumb. Like she'd have to like give up an idol and then get voted out. Like something like, not like even the JT thing or the Adam thing, but like something where it's like such a misplay. You're like, how could you even think that was the right move? Like something so bad. I think if Genevieve gets targeted early for being a strategic threat and the assassin that she is, you're like, you know what? That's expected. like especially with this cast, I don't know how many people you go and you stand and it's the intro and you're on your mat and you're looking at the other 2 mats and your own mat. How many people are you like, oh damn, I got to be careful? Like there's maybe like 4 or 5 of those people on this cast. Like you're not looking at Joe that way. You're not looking at Jonathan that way. You're not looking probably at Aubrey that way or Tiffany that way. Like there's enough people where you're just like, I don't need to worry about them. I don't need to worry about Mike White right now. Genevieve might be one of those people you're like, oh my God, I can't let her snipe me. And so she goes early. I really don't think it hurts her legacy. Honestly, it might improve it. You know, I'm going to argue she's that good. She's that threatening. It will just shoot her game on 47 even higher. No, I don't know. I think this is a situation where it's like she can flame out, go home early, and then they bring her back for some later All-Star season, and then she can like have some breathing room to chill and have this like bad performance be left what's in the taste that people have of her. So I would knock her for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be a Tony thing. Blake, what do you think about Jenna? Is Will delusional?
I think one of the only ways she could have her legacy tarnished, changed for the negative even, is like if she does come back and say stuff like, you know what? I want to be a passive member in this alliance. You guys tell me I'm good with whatever. I know that you guys have a plan. I'll be part of the plan. Just keep me as your 5th. Like people don't say this stuff, but like there are players like this on regular seasons who are very okay with you tell me the plan. I won't change anything. And I think it's just being diametrically opposed to like why we all fell in love with her, of just not rolling over and dying, but rolling over to live, of like, I'm fine with whatever you guys say, because I know if I rock the boat at all, I'm probably have the heat on me. I think that would be a like, no, Genevieve, you're supposed to work through this no matter what anyway. And I think if we saw, I think one person I hate saying this about is Wigglesworth. Whenever she came back, there was a pretty much just let me get whatever place you guys want me to go get. I'll get 8th because that's the place you guys decided for me. And I'm happy with that because I'm along for the ride. I think that's the only way Genevieve could have some negativity coming her way.
Yeah, I think Genevieve is way too strategic to do what Wigglesworth did, and so I think that's where, like, for me, Genevieve is the player who can finish 24th and improve their legacy, right? Like that is how I think that's how people are going to be coming at her.
But didn't she get 5th on her own episode? Isn't Legacy all about placement?
If she gets targeted right off the bat, and she's coming out in that whole first episode saying, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and we're seeing Genevieve hustle, and she still goes home. There's really nothing Genevieve could have done, right? Like Rob Cisternino couldn't do anything on that Shapira tribe. Like it was
could have dated Amber. What the hell?
Yeah, I know. No, he couldn't have, Blake. And so like that's the problem, right? Like Rob Cisternino never had a chance there. If Genevieve never has a chance, but is trying to play the game, then yeah, it's like, okay, good. We still got what we thought from Genevieve. That's the Genevieve we want. Now, if Genevieve makes a run, I mean, it's great. If she makes a run, it's great. And so why did you throw that one up? Who was that? Who threw that up?
That was accidental. Sorry.
Oh, it was accidental. Okay. Yeah, I was like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Anyway, I do think that Genevieve, yeah, a lot to gain, not much to lose here. People are so high on her anyway that an early exit would probably just lead to producers saying, let's get Genevieve back on. Like, the fans love her.
It's crazy that we're more excited for her 3rd time playing before seeing her 2nd time playing, but there's basically no way Genevieve wins this 2nd time around.
Well, this is why I had her winner satisfaction higher than I had Siri, and I got some grief for it. I had coach number 1 and Genevieve number 2, because what did Siri do on her 2nd time out? She got almost 3rd place. She almost won, and like everyone's mad at that. Everyone looks back, oh my god, if there's a final 3, she's got robbed. Oh my gosh, like instead of rooting for Siri now, you can actually root for that in real time with a real legend playing on their 2nd time. And like, that would be so incredible. And then you don't need to get all these like, oh my gosh, she was so
Genevieve
close,
doesn't have Huggy Bear at home, brother.
What?
Isn't her husband?
Is it Huggy Bear?
Huggy Bear?
HB. I know.
HB?
What is HB's real name? I don't remember.
You guys aren't true fans. I guess.
I know. Fake fans.
I'm just saying, like Genevieve winning would be, I mean, that would be.
It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. All right, let's talk about Jonathan, since he's solo and Genevieve solo. Jonathan, I feel like, is coming into this season really only with the challenge legacy, right? I feel like that's all people are talking about with him. And there's really no game expectation for Jonathan.
I can already, I know some confessionals that are going to happen in the first 2 episodes of his tribe. They're going to be like, bro, if you don't get out of my face when it comes to talking about like the plans of the tribe, like you're here to win challenges and you go over there, bud. And there's going to be somebody with that kind of attitude. And I can't wait. Is that going to be Chrissy Hoffbeck of like, we'll let you know what we're doing, Jonathan. Like, just put the sticks, build the shelter, or win the challenge. Like, not to ruin their relationship before it even happens on TV, but I'm assuming based on everything I know about those people, it will be like, Jonathan, we'll let you know what's going on. We don't really care about your strategy here.
There's a comment right here, and it's from Alan. I don't think Jonathan is capable of improving his legacy.
Oh, I saw another comment that disagreed with that comment. Said,
which one is that?
Does Jonathan have the chance here to potentially be the greatest Survivor Challenge performer of all time? Like, that's on the table. If like he makes it far, dominates in the tribe portion, wins a bunch of individual immunity, maybe breaks some records, like that
People
is potentially on the table.
I agree with that. I do think that that's on the table. I mean, I talked about this when we did the defining episode for Jonathan. People like it's funny when you say, oh, we're going to do this episode that's just about this challenge performance. People are like, oh, see, that's all Jonathan did. If you do something about this is a move that was made, it's like, wow, let's talk about the Siri 3-2-1 nonstop until we die. But the physical portion of the game is a portion of the game. So if you can dominate the physical portion of the game as well as somebody can dominate the strategic portion of the game, like you're still dominating a portion of the game. And Jonathan dominates the physical portion of the game. There's no question about that. Unfortunately, he's in an era of Survivor where people really don't care about that. If this was seasons 1 through 16, 1 through 14, probably, people would be stoked. Like, Jonathan keeps winning. This is awesome. Like, we love watching this, right? Nowadays, though, that's not what people really care about. Jonathan winning a bunch of immunities probably keeps his legacy the same. I don't think people would ever jump him over the all-time greats like Aussie and Colby, even like all the way back, or Terry or Tom Westman. Like, I don't think he jumps those. I think he needs to play a little bit strategically to get there. But the thing is, I don't think he can tarnish his legacy at all because pretty much nobody thinks he had a chance to win season 42. So even if he comes out and plays a stupid game, we're there to watch him do physical shit. Like, that's what we want to watch.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room here. I honestly think he mainly has room to go up. The room to go down is if he like somehow just is bad at challenges. Like, what if he just sucks? Like, he like can't carry anything.
He breaks his leg on the first challenge.
Yeah, like he gets hurt, maybe. But even if you get hurt, at least you have an excuse. Like, oh man, Jonathan got hurt. He didn't perform. What if he's just completely healthy and normal and just can't like lift anyone over the wall or like can't slingshot the thing, or I don't know.
What happened to him in this situation? He get like Lyme's disease day one? Like,
no, he got the yips, you know, he just got nervous.
Day zero. As somebody, like, I mean, just ask you, Will, like, when you're designing challenges for a legacy season like Survivor 50, do you think we're designing these challenges so someone can style on the other people? Or is this going to be some that are like the most, who cares if you get an hour lead in the go through the water portion? This puzzle is going to be hard enough where it evens out everything.
I think you're right on both accounts. I think they're like, there's definitely before season 50 and knowing like who's on the cast, like, okay, Jonathan is coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some hero elements, as they're called, where you have to nominate one person from your tribe to this one phase of the challenge. And it's hard and it's big and it's flashy. It's visual. It's what you see in promos, all that. It's like, let's get Jonathan like carrying, 4 ladders on each of his biceps. He's got 8 ladders sticking out of him, one for each of his tribe mates and then one for Jeff. There's going to be moments like that. But then you're also absolutely correct. Then it will get to a puzzle that will take 45 minutes, and none of that will really matter. So it's
I
like
hope you all saw Will's
I think
flex.
it's both. You're right on both accounts.
I love this comment here from A Cook. Oh my God, what if Jonathan's the new HVV Colby? And now all I have in my head is an opening challenge with the bags, and it's Rick Devons riding Jonathan back to the mat the way Coach rode Colby. And
We got to
that's
give
what-
Ryan Chan the credit here. He said this before. He said, I would laugh at
Oh, I
Jonathan
didn't see that.
Whoa.
Sorry. Ryan Chan, I stole your thunder from A Cook, but all I can envision, I'm sorry, I just have the vision of Rick Devons like winking at like the tribe as he's just dragging Jonathan back to the back there. Maybe Riz God does it. I know Riz God is like huge, supposedly the internet tells me. I don't know. I just think Jonathan is Jonathan, and if he wins, that would be pretty crazy. that's all I'll say. The rest of these new era people, we already talked about. Well, we didn't talk about D, really. I don't know how much D. I don't think D can tarnish her legacy, but if we talk about the 45ers between D and Emily, does Emily kind of fall into the same thing as Angelina, and does D kind of fall into the same thing as Kyle?
I think D and Kyle are pretty locked in. It's like, look, you won on your first try. No one can ever take that away from you. You can really only, like, if you make some sort of move or pull off anything, we're going to be stoked. We're like, great. D came back to play again. Awesome. D gets sniped early. We're like, yeah, it's D. Huge threat. I really don't think you can like knock these guys, especially when there's so few winners on the season. It's like they're getting a real raw deal here.
How much can D improve her legacy? Because I know Will, you and I always say that she's the best of the new era. And, Kyle, we talked about like he'd probably have to play a pretty solid game to kind of get there. Because I think he plays a great game in 48, but obviously it's such like a not liked season. Can D get into that upper echelon even without a win? Like if she makes a deep run and plays really, really strongly, does she get into that conversation of like all-time winners?
I think she can. Yeah, I think she has a repeat performance where she like does enough and is in control and makes clever moves. I mean, she's a clever player. Like she has the ability. She doesn't even need to get all that far. I think if she gets like top 10 where she has made a number of moves, then she's absolutely like propping up her win in 45.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about D, Blake?
I think she's got a like what I've said in there's like 400 things we did so far for 50. I definitely think she's got like a 6th place in her of like, not only was D a really strong person to be on my tribe. I loved having her on my tribe. And now it's time now there's 12 of us on a merge beach, and she's pivotal in getting us through the majority of like the 7 over the 5. And then she stuck around because there was some individual stuff. But now, thank you for everything you've helped us do. This alliance of 3 has D as their 4th. Let's go ahead and knock her out at 6th because she doesn't have immunity. That's kind of where I see her of like, everybody's going to be like, thanks D for everything. Goodbye. Not what happened to Siri because nobody made that decision. The Armageddon made the decision, but like something like that of, you've been a great person to be on my team. I'm glad we've been on the same team, knocking out all those people. Goodbye.
Yeah. She's got to get some power late in the game, I think, to win again. But yeah, it's D somebody too. Like she could go really early, but if she does 1 or 2 things and she has a target on her back and she survives a tribal or 2, like I think that helps D's legacy. Now, Emily, for me, I don't feel like she can hurt her legacy. And this is why I say that. The only way Emily does hurt her legacy is if her character on this show is boring. And I don't think Emily's going to be boring. I don't care what place Emily finishes. I really don't. Like, I don't care if Emily wins. I don't care if Emily finishes 24th. Emily just needs to bring it from a character perspective in my mind. I do view her as kind of Q and Angelina, where placement is the least of my concerns with her. I just want her to be fun and chaotic in the way that she is fun and chaotic. And as long as I get that, I'm in on Emily. If she wins, all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's the girl on day 1 who said what she said. And now look at her today. But like, I think that I'm going to be satisfied with Emily as long as Emily is Emily. And to me, her legacy is more about who she is than what her placement is.
Yeah, I think with any of these big character players, Emily, Q, Angelina, I know Q and Angelina are probably in a different tier than Emily, but it's like, why were they cast? Why were they put onto this season of the show? You can't really harm your legacy as a character, I don't think, because like there's no questioning it. Like you can't, like if Angelina somehow is like a game bot and wants to win, that doesn't mean you watch David vs. Goliath and don't laugh your ass off when she's on your screen. Like her antics are enjoyable. There's no, you can't like disprove it. Whereas like a player who's known for their game and their strategy, and it's like, wait a second, like Mike White, maybe for example, I know who's a character also, but it's like if he uses the same strategy again and like loses, or if like we already brought up Christian or some of these other strategic players, it's like maybe they didn't have it and it's a one-hit wonder. You can like question that more. You can look back on it differently. Where it's like the entertainment value, like it's there. Like you liked it, you enjoyed it. It's not going away. So I'm with you. I mean, Emily, I don't know. I think Emily, it's like she's playing with house money. Like if she goes farther than she did, great. Like that means she's in the finale of the show, probably. Awesome. She goes out early, like whatever. Like I'm with you, Phil. I don't know if there's a lot to there's not a lot she can lose here.
I think one layer too, we mentioned it with Genevieve, like I bet you Emily plays 3 times. And so how many of these people are we watching play their second out of 3, or this Survivor 50 isn't the last time we see them? And having that lens of like, we just want you to, I think we're saying goodbye to everyone from before 41 on 50. And maybe like the new era people are the people that would play again. I'm not assuming we're going to see Aussie a 6th time or Angelina a 3rd time. But I think there are some people from the new era where it's like, thank you, Emily, for helping. Like, there's 24 people. We've never had more than 20 people on Survivor. At minimum, there's 4 people that are literally going to get lost to all Survivor. Like the sands of Survivor will wash them away, and we'll be like, I don't even remember they were on 50. Like there's just not possibility. I think that's something that we don't understand as fans yet, of how many people are going to be just completely purpled because there's not enough time in the thing. And I'm like, if you're a new era person, like if Genevieve gets 23rd place, they better make that whole goddamn episode about her and like flesh out everybody else's story in the episodes that come to happen. And that whole episode is about either Emily or Genevieve losing and like being with them and holding their hand through that process, instead of like, what a moment for somebody that's going to be on the next 5 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for a pre-40 player, I'd say really for an Aubrey or earlier player to play again after this season, they would need to do something that was like, whoa, we didn't expect that. We've really only seen that happen once, where somebody didn't play for such a long time and they came back and played immediately after. And how did that work out for Survivor?
Not great.
And not good. And so when you look at what would happen here, like if Jenna Lewis comes out and plays like some crazy game, I could see them asking her to play again. I think if you're, but it would have to be something crazy. And I think that's what all of the players from Aubrey and early are playing with right now. Like they need to do something to say, you need to put me back on. Mike White, Angelina, Christian, Devons, who we haven't talked about yet, Chrissy, who we haven't talked about yet. These are all players who have only played once to this point. So I could see like the pressure's a little bit lower on them because we don't have a fatigue for any of them the way that we do for some of these other players. So, but I do agree, like Emily, I think Emily could honestly come out and lay an egg, and I think they'd still ask her to play again on another season. I think that's where some of these players just land in the mix of everything, is you don't have to be dominant in a confessional standpoint or anything like that. And you can still come back because your one season was so good. So yeah, that's where I stand on that. Season 46, we kind of talked about Q already, but we haven't talked.
We haven't said Charlie once.
We haven't said Charlie at all, and we haven't talked about Tiffany really at all. I don't think Tiffany can. Go ahead.
Should we put a bow on Q? I know Q's been brought up in a lot of conversations.
Let's do Q first, then, and then I can talk about Tiffany. I gave everybody the teams.
I mean, Q. I think we can probably all agree. Like, how do you ruin? I don't know how he ruins his legacy. Like, even he gets voted out first, even if he like Jelinski's himself out of there, that's great. Like, that's incredible TV. If Q wins, incredible TV. You can give me any placement of Q, and we're like, yeah, cool. I like what we got from Q. I mean, unless I think there was a little bit with Q. He was teetering on the line of like really funny, entertaining, grating on his cast, like really annoying to his tribe members. But like, was he ever crossing the line of like doing too much or like threatening to quit and then not quitting? Was that strategy? Like, if he crosses into where he does something a little malicious or mean, maybe that is the only thing that could really tarnish Q's legacy. Because right now he's like the fun, lovable, loud, insane person that we're like, yes, give me Q. But if it becomes negative in some way, that's, I think, maybe the only option here.
Survivor Archivist says maybe if he quits day one. I honestly think that Q might be the only person who doesn't tarnish his legacy if he quits season 50. Because we all saw him almost quit in season 46. And it was like was it strategy? Times? Was it not? And now we know the legacy of Q is like, oh no, like he really wanted to get that final thing. I don't think he does that though. I think Q comes out. I think he plays and he's going to be aggressive. He's going to overplay just like he did on his season. I don't think Q can hurt himself. Blake, you've just been smiling the whole time. Can Q hurt himself here?
It's so funny where it's like, if Q's really mean to somebody and it goes like, we have Q on screen going, I ate 100 pieces of pizza and Liz is back there hungry. Maybe I shouldn't have come on this one or whatever. It's like, we had all that energy. We loved all that energy. It was such a fresh breath of air. I think that is a thought process of why it's kind of hard to watch season 8 back, but it's not hard to watch season 16 or season 20. And we need some levity in these all-star seasons of like, who is like going to laugh and go, you're a stupid dude or whatever. Like that is the energy that Q is going to bring. All these character people, I think he is the number one character to bring that like, y'all, why don't we just have fun? Like everything should take care of it if we just don't think about it that hard. And then it backfires. And then the strategic people can say like, I can't believe you're going to use the second chance and not be as strategic as I am. We have to get rid of Q. And like, I think he'll be the glue guy of like all the storylines will make sense of, do you like Q or is Q bothering you? Did Q do well in the challenge? Should we keep Q? I think will be a large part of Purple for as many episodes as Q's in.
Yeah. And like Q winning Q's not, I don't think Q can win, but like Q going deep in the game.
No shot.
It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter if he goes deep or goes early. Like that's not going to improve his legacy. So Tiffany is the one that I was going to start with. And my thing with Tiffany is Tiffany's coming into the season with no legacy. She's coming in with the smallest legacy out of anybody on this cast. And I don't think it's particularly close. Like, I think that Tiffany going out as early as she did, not playing a second time, like we don't really know much about Tiffany coming in. Tiffany's in a tricky spot. If Tiffany goes early, she's like Monica Padilla. There was no legacy anyway. So it's just like, okay, she's gone. We don't like, why was she on second chance? Why was Tiffany on this? If Tiffany goes deep, Tiffany's the type of player who needs to play a good game to improve her legacy. The 7th place finish for Tiffany doesn't automatically improve her legacy, right? Like it didn't really work for Sheehan. It didn't really work for Alicia, just going all the way back to the first All-Stars. Like their legacies aren't better because they finished 6th and 7th or whatever their placements were. It's like they just went far, but they didn't really feel like they ever did anything. They were never in control. And then like Tiffany needs to be the person who is driving some things. Tiffany's coming in, and I do think Tiffany should play like Kelly Wentworth, like Sierra Dawn Thomas, like play that type of game where it's, I'm playing with house money. I probably shouldn't be here anyway. Let me just go and play this game as hard as I can, because Tiffany has a lot of potential. I mean, she was my preseason winner pick for season 46. She came out, she played a strong game until she didn't, and she got blindsided with the idol in her pocket. Like, I feel like Tiffany, though, can't just be passive. If she's passive, it feels like, why did we put Tiffany on? No matter how far she goes, she could finish 6th place, but if she gets the Aubrey edit for Game Changers, that's not good enough. Tiffany's got to be more than that. Otherwise, the legacy is just going to be, she's going to be the person of, why was she on 50? And that's not the legacy that Tiffany wants. I know that.
I like this comment right here. Tiffany needs to create her legacy on 50.
Whoa. Is that Riz God, RZ?
Maybe.
I feel like that would be Riz God's little like emoji though, like a little Kirby with a hat on. I don't know.
Kirby's got Riz.
Yeah, he does. It gives Riz God vibes. I do like that. I mean, I think that's a really fair point. She does have to create her legacy. She's coming in with nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Charlie.
All right, we're moving to Charlie. That was quick. I got my speech on Tiffany. How much so people are coming in with Charlie. Will and I did everything you need to know about on Charlie. Blake, what do you got about Charlie? Because you shook your head. Like, can Charlie hurt his legacy or no?
I think so.
I guess he's the Aubrey for me on the male side of like, I don't know. I'm a tough critic. I am a complaint specialist.
No.
But like, what Charlie confessional could he say where I'd be like, oh my God, I did not know that angle, or oh, I am excited to see you play this way. Like, is he going to, I'm going to play more aggressive, or I'm going to, what did I learn about Maria literally screwing me out of $1 million? Does he do the whole, I turn the other cheek? I don't blame Maria for that. I'd be immediately checked out. If he was like, I need to find people that are more game parent and won't ever do stuff personally. If I see anybody reacting personally to any decision Jeff makes or any kind of bats an eyelash this way, I'm going to vote them out. I'd be like, oh shit. Like, this is a Charlie I want to see. If there's any kind of mention of like, just like Taylor Swift has a new album and she's rewriting her history, I'm immediately out. Like, get him gone.
This is his new era. This is a different era.
Get me out of here. Like, I do think I'm gonna be wondering
in my
if
50 era.
Like, are they about to?
Jeff,
remember me from hosting that podcast for 6 months together? And like, is there gonna be some banner between like, Jeff actually does know Charlie's favorite snack because Charlie was eating the snacks together or whatever. And like, that's
Charlie have that in like a little Ziploc bag too. Was it like a little tiny one that like Jeff gave him at lunch?
Yeah, he's eating the Gardettos, but only the puck ones or whatever. But you're like, okay, like what could Charlie bring where I'd be like, yes, use the screen time that's so precious on Charlie. But I was just it's not that I wasn't a big fan of Charlie. It's just, I think his legacy the first time is tarnished because if you're a big Charlie fan, it's like, oh, because you hate Kinsey, it's one of those like, you must hate waffles then. And you're like, no, I like when my Survivor season makes sense pancakes. Of like I want somebody to have his alliance with Maria makes sense instead of Maria just turns on him when those people screwed him over so bad.
I feel like your Aubrey comparison is so spot on though, because Charlie is probably the second placer in the new era that people feel was the most robbed, that could have won. And that's how people felt with Aubrey after Michelle beat her and all of that. And Aubrey comes out the next time and kind of played a little bit different of a game, right? A little bit more passive of a game, really couldn't get her footing in the game. And it has hurt her legacy to the point where we're coming into the season saying Aubrey doesn't really have much of a target on her back. Like Aubrey's not really somebody to be really worried about all that much. Charlie could hurt his legacy here if he has a bad game. Now, there's the other option, though, of maybe he is on a starting tribe with Tiffany. We know him and Tiffany kind of butt heads on that season. If Charlie goes out early but is playing hard, right? Similar to what I said about Camila, maybe we don't feel like, oh, man, Charlie, what the hell? But if Charlie comes out and just gets totally duped or never feels like he's in control and makes a deep run but is never actually able to win that game, I think that's bad. I think that's bad for Charlie for sure, because right now he's got he shoulda, but that doesn't mean he really should have. It's just kind of the fan base mentality around it.
I still would put him in the same, like more similar camp to like Rob Sesternino, yeah, man, that you've already mentioned, where like they got so close to winning, didn't come back for returning player season, get sniped immediately for being a threat. Like if that happens, I'm like really not that concerned when like holding it against Charlie. Charlie played one of the most closest to winning games that's possible to play in Survivor history, like top 5, probably second place finishes. So in his season is recent and people will look at him as a strategic force. Now, I think it helps that like he didn't lose in fire and that he he actually got to final tribal council and was able to plead his case and lost. That does help him. It buys him a little bit here. But I don't think a early boot where he was never in position, never had the numbers, just fell apart immediately. Like that can happen to anyone here. That can happen to any player. If they're like the best player in the world, that can happen. A lot of Survivor is luck. A lot of it is your starting tribe. And so if he never gets footing in this game, I don't think it tarnishes his legacy that much or ruins his performance in 46. I will say the worst thing that can happen to Charlie is to get to final tribal council again and then lose again. And it's okay, you just can't win a jury vote. And then you can't really even argue your 46 season that you should have won if you lose another final tribal council vote. It's almost like you can retroactively hurt your performance on your initial season. But outside of that, I think it's man, it seemed like Maria was bitter in some way. If Maria cast her vote for Charlie, we're talking about Charlie as a winner. So I don't think he can fall that far from a season that's going to be ripping off, booting 2 players an episode in the premier.
I do feel though, him finishing as a runner up, if he plays poorly, and I'm talking he comes out and actually does play poorly, tries to overdo things, nothing works, whatever. If he plays a bad game, that will hurt his legacy more because unlike Sesternino and unlike Yao-Man, he did sit at that final tribal and he did lose. So now it leads to maybe Kenzie really was just better than him, and I think that's what could potentially happen to Charlie here, where he's not the unknown of, we didn't get to see him at final tribal. Oh, what if he was just too big of a threat, so they booted him early. It's he's a big threat, but if he actually plays it poorly, if it's not just that he can't get his footing, it's he literally plays poorly, then I could see that actually being something that makes people say, nope, Kenzie rightfully won that season. No questions asked. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's possible. Whether, it determined based on how he would have to go out early. Again, I was painting the picture of more Rob Sesternino in All Stars, where it's he never was able to have a chance on his tribe. If that happens, then you really can't hold it against him.
All right. So we've talked about all the new era people. We've talked a lot about some of the pre-40 people too. So it's not like we still have 12 people left. We talked a lot about some of them, but I want to go to some of these early players and I want to talk Jenna, Colby, Aussie, Stephanie. Where do you sit with these 4 players? These players who have played multiple times, have had good finishes, have had not so good finishes. Who's got the most to gain and who's got the most to lose from those 4?
I think Colby actually has a lot to lose here. I know, Phil, you always argue that Colby on Heroes vs. Villains is actually a great version of Colby. He wasn't good at the challenges, but he figured out a way to survive. And you get a lot of people in the chat that just completely disagree with you. And I don't know if the internet agrees with you. I don't know if his legacy is all that high. He's really still holding on to his performance in Australia. So especially with the audience, what it is at 50, there's probably a lot of people that haven't seen Colby play or maybe don't remember Colby playing all that well. So if Colby comes out and lays an egg, it's kind of wow, we have this legend on 50 and it didn't amount to anything. It's again, you have more evidence to be Colby's a one-hit wonder. Colby had one good performance in Australia. He didn't do anything in All Stars. Heroes vs. Villains, he makes it far, but he was, not himself. He wasn't in control. He was just kind of a hanger on. So I think Colby has a lot to lose, but we've said this also, if you have a lot to lose, you have a lot to gain. So if Colby is able to come back after playing in season 2, being an iconic runner up, coming back and maybe not needing to win or even go that far, but play with idols, play with lost votes and shot in the dark and really put some things together. I think Colby can be holy crap, Colby's got it, Colby's back, and really up his legacy. The new fans of the show go back and they watch his older seasons and they give him maybe the credit that he deserves in Heroes vs. Villains. But I think Colby's got the most to lose and the most to gain.
I just have to say the internet is wrong about a lot of things, but their
True.
Colby take is the worst because Colby's batting 1,000. Every time he's been on Survivor, he's been great. And people that, Heroes Villains, he's so bad. Colby in Heroes Villains is so entertaining. He's just not the same Colby we saw the first 2 times. And I know that's been a lot of the conversation of why do we need Colby if we didn't even have Jerry? We should have Jerry. We don't need Colby, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, Colby, if he goes out early and he just doesn't do anything, absolutely will hurt his reputation. But in my opinion, that would be the first dud from Colby. Now, yeah, I'll stand on the island. Like, I don't care. It's that meme of like, what has you like this? Where it's like the one guy standing. That's how I feel with Colby. I feel like all 3 of his games are super entertaining. But yeah, I think he also has a lot to gain because I don't think he needs to do particularly well to gain a lot. Like, he can finish 15th place and his legacy in people's minds could go up because he could do some things. Like, he could find an idol. He could play some sort of advantage, and that would make people super excited. So Blake's just laughing, but he literally does this in Heroes Villains.
Colby's not finding an idol, brother.
In Heroes Villains, he doesn't find the idol, but the idol is played successfully between him, Tom, and JT to get the best to never win out of the game. So we can laugh at Colby as much as we want, but like, Colby is an integral part of that and should have been voted out next. And he goes to the final 5. He's the last hero standing. It's incredible. So I just think, like, I agree with you, Will, that Colby has a lot to lose there. Jenna, I don't think really has anything to lose. She has stuff to gain, but like, Jenna's kind of that one where it's like, it's just fun to see the person from season 1.
Yeah. Jenna, I think is house money. Cause like, I don't know what her legacy currently even is. And we just watched her play twice when we did Every Season Matters on the Patreon. It's like, well, yeah, Jenna's there. She's cool. She's just like, she's someone from season 1 that we needed to put on 50. So like, if she does well, awesome. She can improve her legacy. If she goes out early, I think it's like, all right, well, it's still just Jenna. It's fine.
Yeah. And then you have Stephanie in there, who I think is actually the one-hit wonder. She has a lot to lose. If she has a bad performance here, people are going to say, okay, she lost to Danny. She finished 19th, and then she did this. And then I think she also has a lot to gain, though, as you said. And then Aussie, yeah, I think we talked about him early on in this podcast, but just kind of in like a weird position with Aussie because his last performance was bad. He almost won twice. He's been, he got blindsided big time. His South Pacific performance, if there's not Redemption Island, he's 11th place, like, at best. So I don't know. Blake, jump in on some of these because you haven't talked about any of them except to insult Colby, which I had to shut you down immediately.
Colby, I think, is pretty interesting for this season. I think what kind of confessional are we going to get from Colby when he starts out? Of like, 25 years ago, my life was changed in Australia. I still got it. Are we doing I still got it? Or are we doing this is my last chance? I know I won't be doing this for Survivor 25 years from now. This is my last one. I'm wondering what kind of confidence he's going to inject into his story and character. Because if it is I still got it, any time that he doesn't still got it and he loses, is it going to be played with a cymbal crash or like a, or is it going to be like devastating? Are we going to give him a lot of chances? It seems like there are an Aussie, a coach, and a Colby are all on different tribes of these are kind of strong men from their eras of like whatever. We've already seen him get dog walked by coach that one time. And that's the last time where that's a fun moment we say from Heroes versus Villains. What's top 5 fun moments of Heroes versus Villains challenges? So I think what I'm trying to say for Colby is now you're the old man. And if you're trying to be like, on my season, I aligned with Keith Famey. You may not remember him, but 900 million people saw him and me get to the final 3. I'm going to play this season way more like Keith Famey than anybody else. And like, that's what I'm going to have to do on this. And while I do have these muscles, I'm going to I know how he got to the end way back when. Yes, there's idols. Yes, there's whatever. But I'm excited to play this as an old man game because I know I can hit everything I need to as an old man. I'd be like, holy crap. Like, I hope there's a producer that can produce that. I don't know if Colby's coming up with that on his own. Yes, he was a great host of Top Shot. Maybe he thinks of this stuff in his own brain, but like, I think that's the Colby that I would be excited about of I'm the old man this time, but I'm going to be the best old man you've ever seen on this.
Which
game.
Isn't Keith Famey. So please don't play like Keith Famey. But yes, I get your point, but please don't play like Keith Famey.
He got 3rd and almost got 2nd if Colby's doing it right.
We'll throw that comment up in a second. Okay. And then what was it? It was Stephanie
LaGrossa. I think there's nobody with more to prove than Stephanie. This is chance number 5 or 6. she's kind of
4.
gotten rolled by Siri
Talking
the
about
last 2 or 3 times. So if we come in and she trusts Siri and Siri backstabs her again, it will be a, hey, your whole legacy is you're put on all-star seasons to trust people that are going to backstab you, and nobody cares when you lose. So I don't know if she has that chip on her shoulder. I think she is not the All-American, but like the pedigree of her being like, I'm the last person standing from a disaster is kind of, we've seen the negative of that, how that affects you negatively on a Survivor season. I'd love for that storyline to be like, this is how it affects her positively. If she made it all the way to the end for Oolong, she can make it all the way to the end in this 50 of Legends season of like, she can bob and weave. I know I just made up a character that doesn't really fit her things, but like, that's where I think her character can grow, and people would be like, I have a new, just like we saw Siri own Traders and Siri owned a large part of a Big Brother season. Like maybe this is the time where Stephanie can own, because she watched a couple of things and changed a part of her game, and then it'd be like, oh, this is the LaGrossa I wanted from Palau. We got the negative half of this on Guatemala, but now here's a shining season. Like that would be the coolest thing. I think for these people where it's like they're coming to play for the first time in 20 years, 15 years, 12 years, whatever it is. I'm trying to think of what would be the best version, because like, what's the point of bringing them back if we're not getting their best versions?
Mm-hmm. And Stephanie coming off her heroes versus villains game, it's like, that was so bad that like so much room to climb, but also if she fizzles out early again, it's like, oh man, like Stephanie never got back to the glory that was Palau.
Right. I just don't see like what she has to gain, because she was her Palau season is so high, like fan favorite, All-American badass, like bring her back immediately. And then she goes all the way to Final Tribal Council. She's already gotten to the end of the show. Like she's gotten to day 39, then she loses. Like I think the only thing that can really improve Stephanie's legacy is either a win, which I think is going to be very difficult for her. She did win the brand steal, right? So like
she did win the brand steal
over
over
evidence of the potential win. So either that, or she has to play like a just really flashy, savvy, like some of the best moves we've ever seen. Like her getting 6th place, even just being in the Solid Alliance voting correctly. Does that do anything for us after we've seen her already navigate her way to the end with the majority? It's like if she doesn't do,
if she gets a
like
Kimmy
really
Kappenberg 6th place,
yeah.
Like I just don't know. There's just not there's not a lot she hasn't done yet. That's the thing, because she's been the hero that goes out too early in the post merge, and she's been the loser at Final Tribal Council. She's been the pre-merge boot. Like she's kind of covered the bases in her first 3 appearances. That like the only thing left to me is like really a win, and anything other than that, you're kind of just looking at Stephanie as like she was the hero once, and now that was it.
If Boston Rob won on his 4th time and has the exact kind of thing that Stephanie does, of like goes out when they go out the first time, gets 2nd place their 2nd time, pre-merge their 3rd time. Now it's time for Stephanie to win. It'd be the Boston Rob masterclass.
And I do think that a win would really help. I mean, I think Stephanie winning would be massive from a legacy boost standpoint. And I think like Stephanie winning would also be
obviously.
But it would be like a holy crap. We did not expect. We didn't even want, like a lot of people were saying we don't even want this person on the season. And now she turns around and she comes out and she wins. It would be like, I don't really even know how she did that. Right. Like Angelina is not winning. So like we can laugh away. But when I'm saying like that this would be big, like Angelina is not winning. Angelina winning also would be like so like Stephanie is somebody who probably has the potential to win, but also like when this cast was announced, none of us really feel that she has the potential to win. So her win would be so earned and it would be so all over. It would be playing the type of game that Will just said, that I do feel like from a legacy standpoint, now all of a sudden what you're thinking of Stephanie LaGrossa totally changes. If Aussie wins, what I'm thinking of Aussie doesn't totally change. If Colby wins, what I'm thinking of Colby doesn't totally change. If Stephanie wins, what I think of Stephanie totally changes, because it's never felt like Stephanie could actually win a season of Survivor, whereas with these other players, it has. So I do think that like that would be a lot to gain from her. And to Will's point of like, but if she just goes a little deep and doesn't really do anything, what does it really matter? For me, if Stephanie goes like 6th or 7th or 8th or something, at least it is this was an old school player they're taking a chance on. We haven't seen since 20, didn't do well on 20. So we really haven't seen her since season 11. And they're taking a chance on her, but it was an earned spot, which so often with these, we haven't brought this person back in forever. It doesn't feel like an earned spot. And so that's what I'm hoping is like, it would be an earned spot. Has to be better than Kimmy Kappenberg though. And has to be better than Wigglesworth. Otherwise it's like, why? And I think Stephanie's a bigger personality. It will be bigger.
Hard to think about earned spots in season 50 at all for me. It's like, we didn't have any say. The fans didn't vote. It's like, we got this hodgepodge, like the earned spot thing doesn't really affect the legacy of the player, in my opinion, that much.
All right.
Or the legacy of like the casting department, you know? It's like the casting department knew what they were doing here. Not so much like the player.
I don't know if did casting want this cast though? Isn't that like what the whole thing was? Maybe they didn't, maybe they did. We'll see.
I mean, someone put them on.
I'm just saying, I know CBS had a lot to say about who was getting put on this season.
I'm sure every casting person watched all of Guatemala and came together and was like, we have to have that back on our screens.
We've already talked about Aussie, but do we need anything else to say? Like, I don't know. If Aussie has a more strategic game, I think that would be able to improve his legacy without him necessarily winning. Which is what I kind of said as we first started this conversation.
It needs to be better though, because like South Pacific people are like, well, he almost won. It's like his game in South Pacific is not very good.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like he
has to play a better game.
Yeah.
What about Blake? Blake, you never said anything about Jenna. Just close the door on Jenna, and then we got 3 people left. So close the door on Jenna.
Oh my
4.
God, how many freaking people are
4.
in this cast? Jenna.
Chrissy, who?
Siri? Have we talked about Siri? We just said it doesn't matter.
Riz God. Jenna. Hello. We haven't seen you since 2004. That's 21 years ago. So she was 22 in her original, 23. So she's going to be twice her age as when she first started. So we're going to get 2, like, that's crazy. That it's basically her life that she had one more time. What does she know? Those kids from the video that she didn't get are now her age when she was on the Survivor. You're just like, is this interesting though? Like none of that is her Survivor game. And I think we watched All Stars very recently, I guess a year and a half ago at this point, but it is kind of like, I'm not like, oh, she was my favorite person on that season. Like, I think most people are rooting for Rob and Amber to win, even though they're largely negative. So what am I expecting Jenna to do on this one? I do think she will be along for the ride and say like, this is super fun. I'm so excited to be back out here. I'm hoping to meet a couple people that are excited to see me. But I do think this will be a point where Jeff or somebody who goes, see, even though Borneo is the most exciting thing we've ever done, the new era people are like what people are excited to play with again. And like Survivor Borneo and even Survivor All-Stars, like she has never played. Maybe she's one of the only people who hasn't played on a season with an idol at all. I think we can say that about her and be true. So, hey, do you know how idols work? Like, yeah, I watched the show, but it's like, well, do you know how idols work? The minutia of the everyday of watch out for idols or everything. I think anything that I try to make interesting about Jenna doesn't really sound that interesting to me. So I think it's going to be very hard for her to make some waves and have people go like, that was my favorite part was when Jenna was on screen and talking about stuff. And like, I think she'll be a solid alliance member, but ultimately, like, I don't really see her making it to merge, and in which I know we're talking about legacy instead of placement. So it's kind of like, I think she's going to be one of those like, hey, we have me to do bookends of I'm the person from season 1, but ultimately we're going to be like, oh, what place did she get again? Was it 17th or 19th?
Yeah, it's talking about Tiffany where it was like, what's Tiffany's legacy? She has to create it on this season. It feels like Jenna's legacy is probably already determined. She's just the person from season 1, unless she plays some crazy game. But who knows? All right, So I did forget. We talked about Siri a bunch, I thought. I felt like we had talked about Siri at the beginning of this, where it was like, I don't feel like Siri's legacy can be tarnished at all. Like, she could be the first boot.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters.
We've talked about Siri
think it
like
was a
4 times,
bunch.
but let's talk about Siri then.
But like it was, I think we just hit it so quickly. Maybe we don't need to hit it anymore. It's like if Siri goes out in any position other than winning, we're not going to hold it against her. And if she wins, it's going to be like, yay, finally she wins. Even though we've already seen her win a show on the Traders. So it's like, is her win even as exciting? Probably still is. So yeah, I don't know. I think we've mentioned Siri enough.
Yeah.
My thought process for you guys is, would you rather live in a world where Siri is a Survivor winner, or would you rather live in a world where Siri loses Survivor a 5th or 6th time?
I'd rather she lose again.
I'd rather she lose to Coach or Genevieve.
Yeah, I would just, I mean, like, look, I said she'd be like the most satisfying. I think I put her at number 1, but like, honestly, Siri not getting the win instead of getting the win that feels kind of like a Boston Rob win from Redemption Island is like, I don't want the asterisk of like, oh, well, it took her 5 times to win. It's like, okay, yeah, it'd be nice for her to get her win. But at this point, it's kind of like, I think I compared it. It's like Dan Marino coming out of retirement to be a backup quarterback for 1 game and not step on the field to get a Super Bowl ring. It's like,
but that's so different here. And Boston Rob's win is so different because like she is on an all returning player cast with 24 people. Like you could argue this is like technically the hardest season of Survivor to win. Your chances are 1 in 24. So like, I don't know how you could even make an argument that like, oh, it's just she shows up and wins. Like she's going to have to ball out in order to win. I think anyone who wins this season is going to have to.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
If she wins, her legacy gets. That's everyone.
Yeah.
I think that the one thing that blows my mind is she didn't go to tribal council before the merge last time.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have to answer the question of, is tribe strength more important than Siri? I don't see how they're going to have 24 people without double eliminations, but can she make it through because she's the dominant? Like, is that a thing when if you go on an all-star season and it looks like it's touch and go because you're only going to be here 26 days and you got to get rid of 22 other people or 21 other people? Are you kind of like, Siri, here's the keys of the car. I'll get all the firewood and I'll win all the challenges. You do all of the work strategically. Just keep my ass involved and let's go to the end together. And is that a good enough deal for about 4 men on her tribe? Is that a good enough deal for about 3 other women on her tribe? Who would say no to that? And I think that would maybe be like her best pitch of, do you want to work against me or you want to work with me and go to the end? Because everybody that's worked with me wins. And I can tell you their names. It's Aris, it's Parvati, not Sandra. She wasn't on my team. That don't think about that season, please. Sarah, their names are Aris, Parvati, and Sarah. They're my strongest allies, always won their season. You got a chance to win if you're with me.
Yeah. And I think, again, though, it's like, if she's able to pull it off and go far, it still is like, doesn't improve her legacy all that much. She's already at the highest you can be as somebody who didn't win. So it's like, she is where she is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's talk about Chrissy. Coming in as a second placer, similar to Charlie, right? Of like, people feel she should have won. I feel that Chrissy is somebody who, unless she plays an excellent game, I feel like this can only really be bad for Chrissy, because like Chrissy goes out early. Well, you know, maybe her game in Heroes Healers Hustler wasn't that good. If she goes deep and sits at Final Tribal again and loses, that's terrible for her. If she plays the game and doesn't have much of a say over what's happening, that's bad for her. If the social game is still weak, which is what the case was in 35, that's bad for her. I don't feel like there's a lot of upward potential for Chrissy, with the exception of like a dominant win. So I don't know. I feel like Chrissy has a lot to lose by coming back this second time, which, like, kudos to her for coming back and playing it again. But I feel like she has a lot to lose because right now she's sitting in a very comfortable, one of the greats to never win, because she sat there and a lot of people feel she was robbed.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's going to be tough to improve her 35 performance. Like, especially with the fire making twist, people are so mad at it. They think that she was the one that got robbed, in which we really don't even know she's the one that got robbed. Devon might have gotten robbed. There's a real world in which Devon wins the jury over more so than Chrissy. And like you already mentioned, the final tribal council loss is detrimental here. So And you could see her as someone who like doesn't quite, I don't know if she quite like fits in with this group of people. I don't have high prospects for Chrissy. I don't know. It might honestly be better for her to go out early and be like, oh man, Chrissy's such a beast. Like I look up to her. She like, and she's kind of a threat. And we could like, you can kind of like make the argument she's grouped in as like one of these like Tony, Robs, yeah, man's that's like, oh my gosh, what a threat. We have to get them out early. And then we just don't hear from her again. That's honestly better than her like, but I honestly think the longer she lasts in the game, she only has room to hurt herself because I don't think she can win. And if she doesn't,
she reminds me of Denise. Like Denise got 6th place, but did anybody go like Denise killed that season?
Yeah.
I mean, Denise idled out Sandra, and then like we didn't hear from her the rest of the season. It was bizarre.
She just disappeared. And
like,
people were so high on Denise coming into that season, which makes it even like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm agreeing with you I loved Chrissy. I think I was a big like, gosh, how is Ben going to win? This sucks for Survivor moving forward. The fire is bad. And then I was like, I hope to see her play again. I hope 40 is a returning season. Then it was all winners. And I think there's been a couple other times where if we had a returning season for 36 or 38 or 40, 42, those would have been perfect. I don't think she's past her expiration date. I think that's a crazy thing to say, but it is more of like the longer we waited for Chrissy to come back, the worse of like, I don't think there's enough, like, it's not that she has rust. It's more just like the more people that are aware of what she did and would be excited to see her is better than like, wait, what season were you on again? Mm-hmm. I don't quite remember that one. Or like, I don't think she has. I think it's kind of hard to get back into. I'm not saying she needs to get into shape. I'm saying like get back into the Survivor mindset after 1 year is probably easier. I'm sure it's easier for people like Rupert and Russell and Kyle. Like I'm getting right back into the mindset. Riz God is getting right back into the mindset. I think Chrissy has been out of the mindset for a while and getting back into that killer instinct. She needs as much help as she can get for this season.
Yeah. And if she doesn't, I mean, it's just going to be like, oh no, Chrissy, we waited so long to get you back on. Like what happened? We'll see. We'll see. I'm not out on Chrissy. I just feel like she might be one of the people on this season with the absolute most to lose. And it's going to be very hard for her to get an improvement. Let's talk Devons. So if Devons goes pre-merge again, that's bad.
He's got a lot,
right?
He's got a lot to lose because he's already been voted out.
Yeah, like I feel almost the same way I do about Chrissy with Devons. But then I also feel like Devons has the benefit of being more of a character. So he could still deliver a lot from a character perspective. But if he's a pre-merger again, that's rough for Devons. Because then it's like, okay, well, you're only even on this season because of the Edge of Extinction twist.
I mean, that's already true. We could already say that without seeing season 50 and like how he places. But it's like even more so, you can't make it. We get to see you survive a pre-merge. And you've played twice. Yeah, I think you're right that he has a little bit more leeway than Chrissy just because he brings it more from a confessional character standpoint. So, and look, there's 24 people in it. You might be pre-merge and go out 15th place. You still survived 8 or 9 people. So like, I don't know. Maybe that's not the worst thing. Also, Devons, I don't think is very beloved by a lot of people in the community. Like he's just like a Jeff favorite, and people I remember people just ripping and hating on him for eating up screen time. So like, I don't know what his legacy currently is. It's definitely not at the height of Chrissy, at least on the internet. So maybe he's one of those players that like doesn't really have a ton to lose here because he's not held in that high regard. And so like on a season with 24 players, maybe he doesn't eat up screen time. Maybe we get like 1 or 2 confessionals from him an episode and we go, you know what? I like Devons in small doses. And like, that's a way maybe that he ups his legacy of like this camera hog, Jeff teacher's pet vibe that he has going on currently.
Still to like this day, one of my favorite things from an interview that I've gotten to do on the podcast was when we were talking to Devons right after Edge of Extinction. He's like, yeah, I called the editors and told them, stop putting me in so much. It's so annoying. Because it was like people were ripping him as if he had a say in what was getting put on TV. He's like, what did you want me to do? And so I like Devons. I've gone on the record and said he was my winner pick for the season, but I think like Devons does have a lot to like. Devons has to make the merge in order for his legacy to like even remote, like to stay the same. He's not somebody who can just rely on the character because he was a character and a player. So from a player perspective, he needs to make the merge. From a character perspective, he also needs to deliver. Like if Devons comes out and finishes 10th place and somehow disappears, it's like, what the hell just happened to Devons? Like he can't be overshadowed because he was on a cast where the cast wasn't popping. Like that Edge of Extinction cast, the Kama tribe was easy for the Lesus to kind of overtake. And so if Devons comes out here and it's like, oh, he's just Coach Junior, let's just have Coach take up all the screen time. Let's have Siri take up all the screen time. Devons is falling to the wayside. Like that would also be a problem because a lot of people just look at Devons as that guy. So I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like his legacy improves if he doesn't have a lot of confessionals.
I'm
like if it's sparse, not like nothing, and not that he's doing nothing, but like if he comes in and is the number one confessional getter, and we're hearing from him every episode, and like we're not seeing anything from like Coach, Genevieve, Siri, Chrissy, Colby, Jenna, Steph, like people will lose their mind. So like I don't think he needs to deliver as much in the character part or screen time part as much as so it's like make the merge, buddy. Make the merge without getting voted out.
And I'm laughing about it.
I think Devons is the same layer as Christian for me because one was one before one was the other, and it was like Devons is he more successful than Christian because he got voted out before, but he also got voted out after. I think Devons is somebody that a large portion of casual fans will be happy to see again if they remember that one season. And as soon as he does his first, like, coming live from Fiji, it's 85,000 degrees and the knives are out. Like, I would not be surprised if that is our opening confessional, much like that Carolyn confessional where like we're not pretending we're not holding any punches. Like this is what Jeff likes the most. Hopefully you guys like it. And like whether Devons gets 24th or second place, I think he played hard his first time. And I think all we want him to do is play hard. I don't care what place he gets. I think if he puts the same amount of like, you made me look bad in front of my kids, and you're just like, that energy is fun to me. And like, who cares if he's Jeff's favorite or not? Like, this is one that kind of works for me personally. So I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Devons winning would be like crazy because that would just be such a weird story with the Edge of Extinction.
Do you think it'd be good for his legacy if he won?
I mean, look, there's some people where it wouldn't be good for their legacy. Riz God and Savannah each winning back-to-back seasons is boring. Like that's not good for their legacy. We don't need that.
They both won Survivor 49.
They both did. They actually tied for first, and there was no third place.
Wait, it's literally like Hunger Games where they said they'll eat the berries and kill themselves if they don't allow to win.
That's what it was. So they got to come back and play for 50. All right. Well, that leaves us with the one and the only. I saved this for last. Did you notice I saved our winner picks for last? Well, I still don't know who Blake's winner pick is, so I saved our winner picks for last. So can Coach's legacy be tarnished? I don't think it can. There's no way.
I don't think he has like anything to lose because he's character, but then he has so much to gain because a win would do so much.
Can I say something crazy
I just don't think.
Let me get you guys started. Let me get you guys butting heads right off the bat.
I just don't think
Coach wins this season. Hang on, Will. No, this is going to make you happy. If Coach wins this season, should he be considered for the Rushmore of Survivor?
Yes.
There you go. There you go. Go ahead, Blake. Now you say no, and the two of you just fight, and I'm going to go take a nap.
What's interesting is we're about to start South Pacific. So you got me about 5 days before I would have a lot more opinion on this. Because I don't remember Coach's quote unquote best placement ever. But I don't remember ending the season of South Pacific and being mad that Sophie won. So I don't think there's a craving in my bones of I hope Coach wins this time. And the third version of Coach was so different than the second version of Coach and the first version of Coach is by far the best. So that makes me wonder, are we going to get diluted Coach? Are we going to get pure extract Coach for the fourth one? Like, as an old man, is he going to be even more like unfiltered or like whatever? Or like, because some of the stuff he says in talking token teens to other people in his tribe, I was like, oh my God, whenever I rewatch that. And if we get some of that going, I love it. But like, Coach is the first like Q and Angelina to me. He's a character that somehow people trust because there is that I'm not a backstabbing character. I'm a why am I still being loyal? It doesn't make sense for me too. And as long as he doesn't, I don't know. I know what happened about Coach 3.0 was kind of religious. That was an interesting.
He leaned into the Brandon of it all.
Yeah.
I'm like pretty far into the South Pacific rewatch. It's the Brandon of it all.
So what I'm hoping is Coach has hero moments in challenges. I hope whenever there's an idol played, it's Coach's ally that goes home and we see Coach's face go, oh my God, he has to work out of the bottom. I hope Coach gets his stars. Coach gets like 7th place. And we go, damn, I wish Coach had gotten a little further, but we're not going to, at the end of the season, we're not going to be like, Coach should have won.
Well, now we talked about, you said yes. Why would you think that he could be, if he wins this season? I don't think his reputation can be tarnished. I think his legacy is his legacy. He is Coach. If he wins this season, though, why do you think that he could be a Mount Rushmore?
Who does he replace?
I just think he then covers bases that we don't have covered in the Mount Rushmore. Like Mount Rushmore is agreed upon currently as Tony, Sandra, Boston Rob, and Parv. And like, are any of the, like, they're all interesting. We all like them. They're all really good Survivor players, but are any of them like over the top characters? And like, is that not the main reason we watch and enjoy the show? That like, we love big personalities? Like, yes, Tony's probably the closest one. But I think if Coach, like, there's such an evolution here with Coach where it's like he's on token sheens, he's the butt of every joke, he's like made fun of by the show, he's delusional, but he's so entertaining and he's so much fun. And you bring him back on like the Hallmark 20th season, 10th year anniversary, Heroes vs. Villains, and he's a character. And look, he's on the season for a little bit, doesn't last too long, but you're glad he's there. He has a nice arc with Jerry, all that. He then comes back 3 seasons later, and like his goal is like, I'm going to play this season to win. And he gets all the way to the end and doesn't. And that's crushing. So if the next step in that evolution is like, I got to come out, this is my last chance, and he wins, like, I think then you're putting someone on the Mount Rushmore who covers like every type of Survivor player. You have like the final tribal council loser. You have the winner. You have the insane character that can never win. You have the showmance even. Like you have he gives you so much flavor here. And I don't know who you'd knock off. Probably Boston Rob or Parvati, because you have to keep Tony and Sandra on there as the 2-time winners. But like, there's a lot of upside here with the Coach win. And I also think he can improve his legacy just by playing a strong, entertaining game. He can add to it. If he goes from early, like he's already done enough for the show and the franchise, and that's fine. So like, that's why I'm really looking forward to Coach.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I feel like Coach is absolutely in the conversation for a Mount Rushmore if he wins, because he'll have better placements than Rob, right? He'll have, he lost the one game just like Rob did, second place, whatever. But it's the fact too, if he wins this one, he's winning an all returning player season. And it is the character factor. Like, as I'm rewatching South Pacific now, and like we've really 5 months, we've watched all the seasons of Coach. Like, Coach is all time. Like, he's probably the best character the show's ever had. Truly. He's just absolutely ridiculous. He's so over the top. And yet he comes so close to winning South Pacific. He just has a terrible final tribal council performance. He plays better. He wins the game. So for me, yeah, I think Coach winning, his legacy would go there. I think any other placement for Coach is just Coach. It doesn't tarnish anything. He's just Coach. It doesn't matter. But if he wins, he is suddenly in the conversation, and people need to be like ready to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Blake's not.
I hope you're ready, Phil.
I'm ready. All right. We almost hit 2 hours. Good job, us. All right. Almost. We're wrapping it up. We're done. Let us know what you think about the legacies of each of these players. Did we hit it? Did we knock it out of the
Savannah?
Were we right? Were we not? I know. We already talked about Savannah and Riz God. On Thursday morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, me, McKenna, Tegwith, we're going to be live with Ferris from Australian Survivor Titans versus Rebels, 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. So I don't expect to see many people live there, but we'll be seeing you shortly after. We're going to be doing a fantasy draft for Australian Survivor. I know that Will is dying, and Blake, you both are dying to get in on that at 4 a.m. I know that you were dying to do that. So it's going to be 7 a.m. Thursday. So please tune into that one. Fantasy draft. I think we're going to do 4 teams of 3 because obviously there's 14 people, but that'll be a lot of fun. We're still doing everything that you need to know about. We're down to the final 2. We just have Q and we have Coach left. That is it. And then for the defining episodes, we're into the David versus Goliath people. We just put out Mike White's recently. And we're also getting close to Devons. We still have his left. We still have Jonathan's left. We still have Emily's left, I believe. So we're almost done with both of those series. And then 49 will be here before you know it. We just found out that Australian Survivor, 10 episodes in 3 weeks. Don't know how they're going to do that. Patreon.com/The Specialist. We're getting into Survivor South Pacific. Nicaragua actually just ended today, but we already recorded Redemption Island. So that's going to be coming out. Also covering Titans versus Rebels over there on the Patreon. Teg Talks, Will and Tegwith's first episode of the elevator pitch dropped today at 1 o'clock. So we have so much stuff going on there that doesn't even get into casting perspective, rock draw, movie stuff, everything. Plenty. And when a season starts, we get even more. So go check out patreon.com/The Specialist. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm exhausted. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
I'm assuming you guys have nothing to say.